this. I don't think they know a damn thing about StarCraft, but it's a familiar voice, so why not? So, again, this is the scReddit Open Game 2 on Metalopolis between RedAlert, who's so far undefeated forever as far as I know, and Zukarakox. And I have the honor of being here tonight with Diggity and Moletrap, and looking forward to a good game. So how are you guys doing here?
Doing pretty good. Looks like we have RedAlert starting at the 12 o'clock position as the Orange Terran, once again 9 o'clock position, Zukarakox as the green Protoss, lapsing there for a moment. This is going to be on Metalopolis, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I really feel like this is a strong Terran map, particularly at these expansion points, because essentially what you're going to have RedAlert do is just siege tech. Maybe he'll stick to infantry, because I've seen guys belligerently stick to infantry, and granted, there was the siege tank nerf recently, but once you get to this high ground and you have siege tanks and just their range, especially up on that ridge, it becomes almost impossible to try to fight up there. And once you see that gold expansion, you're expanding into your opponent, you just have immense territorial control. It's very difficult to press through it. Just really strong. Maybe that's kind of shifted since the patch, since the siege tech nerf, but I still just feel their range on top of that ground is just so strong. Looks like, fortunately for Zook, he is going to be able to scout right off the bat. RedAlert not doing anything cheesy, just going to build that supply depot, and it looks like going to standard build. Looks like we also have a tight build from Zook, just in case he was going to face any sort of Reaper pressure. And yeah, just a little bit of peon on peon harassment going on.
Yeah, just your standard openings here. I do like this sort of close build. I haven't played a ton of StarCraft 2. I've been playing a lot recently though, and I just got in the habit of just kind of blocking off my ramp, against, because it's very handy against Protoss and against Zerg, and then I started blocking off against Terran, and quickly realized it actually didn't help at all to block off. It just kind of made it more cumbersome to have a choke that way. So it's better for him to kind of hold things back there and just kind of play it close. He can get his probes back to his minerals after planting down buildings faster that way. And going for a second gateway here. I'm sorry, no. Cybernetics Core. I'm tripping. Cybernetics Core. So it looks like the same kind of build going on from Zukarakox thus far. And so far, a very similar build coming from RedAlert as well. And there's the Tech Lab.
In the meantime, it looks like RedAlert has just gone for, the just standard build. He's got the Orbital Command, he's got the Tech Lab. Let's see if he follows that up with that second barracks. I really like that build just because it is very balanced. You can expand, you can do a lot with it. Unfortunately, on this map, I think it might actually suit him just to go one racks into expansion, be a little bit more aggressive. Let's see if he decides to filter that out. We do have a Stalker producing for Zook just to kill that SCV. Looks like the SCV taking a significant amount of damage, and let's see if RedAlert just pulls it back at this stage. Looks like he is going to. But yeah, in the meantime, actually, I almost assume we're just going to see a one racks into expansion here. Nope, take it back. Wrong again. Barracks being built by RedAlert right alongside. He's already got the single Marauder, single Marine out, and he is upgrading concussive shells.
Good deal. So once again, what I've seen most of these people, the tendency I've seen by most of these players is they just stick with their winning strats. You know what I mean? Not a lot of cheese here. Almost everybody's picking a good solid army and just playing with it. And I like the fact that regardless of the outcome of the previous game, both of these players are sticking with very similar build orders. It's pretty much the same thing throughout, which is the sign of just confidence. A good, confident player.
Wow, seeing 4 gateways now from Zukarakox. It looks like he's going to dedicate with a very, very large, very heavy early Zealot attack.
It's interesting that he went with the Twilight Council before and got the blink and didn't really use the blink. Similar to the way that he's built his second assimilator and is not using that at the moment, which is hopefully he realizes that pretty soon. It's easy to kind of forget about throwing probes on there afterwards. But yeah, he's got the warp gate tech. He's pumping that up. He's charged it once or twice, so he's just going to go for just 4 gate warp gate pressure. And he's not, instead of going for the Twilight Council and trying to get blink, he's just going to get that 4th gateway earlier instead and go for an earlier pressure build. And then again, the pylon in a forward position is going to be, able to get his reinforcements there quicker. So I really like that he's adapting a little bit. He's changed his strat up. Instead of going for the Twilight Council and trying to be tricksy about it, he's just going to get 4 gates and just mass forces. And if he can keep his macro up, he's going to be able to keep the pressure up. And may be able to. Last time he was able to get a really good contain on, and this time perhaps with a little quicker pressure, he can actually, instead of just containing, he can actually overpower. but it does appear that with that reactor and the tech lab putting out Marauders to boot, that RedAlert is definitely keeping up in macro. It's going to be hard to out macro him the way that he's been playing.
It was really intelligent what Zukarakox did right there. He just placed a couple of stalkers and a sentry out to the front, so essentially all scouting information denied as far as what was going in. He doesn't know if he's going on against a larger infantry sort of army or whether he's going against a heavier robotics facility sort of army. Looks like a precautionary missile turrets on the front door to deal with a Colossus attack or perhaps even Dark Templar from RedAlert, but he's going to need some bunkers to cope with a very, very, very large infantry army that Zook's going to be able to produce. He does have a proxy pylon there at the north for reinforcements, should he decide to use it. But really, the timing's going to come up here in just a second as that command center floats down and as there are just not a lot of forces or saturation there to kind of cope with it.
Right now, RedAlert, I'm just looking at his first-person view I want to throw in there. He has not scanned. He's got plenty of energy, but for some reason he hasn't scanned, so he has no idea what's going on in Zukarakox's base. He only sees the one gateway in the core is all he knows about. And you're right, the scout got picked off, the SCV got picked off by just a couple things, so he's gone for this quick expansion, but he's just kind of doing it blindly at the moment, just macroing off these two bases, and Zukarakox has a decent army built up. I don't know if it's quite enough to break what RedAlert has, but it's interesting that RedAlert's just kind of blindly gone for this expansion without even knowing what's going on.
I don't like what Zook's doing here. He's invested very heavily and he's not attacking at this stage.
Yeah.
And he needs to either take an expansion or attack, not kind of do the half and half thing here in between.
Yeah, he's got some sort of weird intelligence advantage in that RedAlert definitely thinks he's up to something more than he is, because as you pointed out, he doesn't have too much of an army and he's not doing anything with it. But look at the missile turret placement around RedAlert's base. RedAlert is really expecting something that simply isn't. And it's curious, like you said, if he was expecting DTs or Colossus or drops or whatever, but having those forward missile turrets like that is very indicative of a strat that Zukarakox is just not doing.
Perhaps he'll be able to capitalize on it, but he's invested so heavily in those gateways, and it just feels like he's stymied at this stage. He's actually letting his economy just build up, perhaps to have reinforcements for forward warp, but perhaps just to get a gateway to follow this up. He does have a Twilight Council, and unfortunately now, he's going to get some High Templar out to deal with that, but just right there got scanned. So he's got the 4 gateways out. Unfortunately, his tech is scanned. In the meantime, he's falling way behind economically. RedAlert has that natural expansion up 2 orbital command centers. And honestly, even with those High Templar, unless he does some absolutely magical size storms, I don't see it really being all that effective.
You know what I think RedAlert should do right now is I think he should attack. He just scanned. He saw the archives. He scanned the army previously. He saw 1 High Templar out. He saw the army with no High Templar like a few seconds before. He knows that there's no storm, and he's got all infantry. If he waits for that storm to research, then those infantry are going to melt. If he attacks right now before storm is in, he could take out that expansion and seal the game. But he's just going to chill. He's got that bunker. He's just going to chill and try and tech up, I guess. Let's see here. Starport going down. Reactor on the factory. To get some Hellions out. So, very interesting situation we have here. I'm surprised that he's just kind of holding back despite the fact that he kind of knew he had an advantage there.
Looks like RedAlert is going to be able to take that pylon around the position. You can just tell with all the comsats and everything else, he was definitely expecting Dark Templar.
Yeah, I'm really surprised actually. And this is more indicative of all of the games that I've seen him play tonight. He hasn't really abused tanks at all. I haven't really seen a whole lot of siege tanks out of RedAlert. Period. And that would be really effective right now. And I'd kind of like to see him just, if he's not going to attack, reinforce his position with some siege tanks and capitalize on the proposed IMBA of Terran.
I think you're exactly right, by the way. Just to cut in real quick, that it makes a lot of sense that for some reason he was expecting DTs. He was saving his scans. He's building turrets everywhere. I don't know why he decided that, though, that there must have been DTs coming.
In the meantime, it looks like you've got additional gas, and unfortunately for Zukarakox, it feels like, yes, he has a sizable army, but it just feels smaller, especially with the medevacs that are going to be coming shortly. You've got just not enough units to really punch through unless he places some absolutely incredible storms, and I don't see that happening. In the meantime, he's economically behind. He's trying. I almost feel like he's dedicating too much. He is getting the Zealot legs, but he's also got the robotics facility with High Templar, and he's really not dedicating one way or the other. He's not out macroing. He went with heavy infantry, didn't attack, didn't deny the natural expansion. It just doesn't feel like. It feels like he's floundering a little bit. In the meantime, he's behind in army count. He's behind in income saturation. It feels like RedAlert has map control on top of it if he decides to take it. Actually floating a factory there to the south and sneaking in, going with a drop now in the main with those 2 medevacs, and it looks like most of those troops are out of position. Going to be able to stop some gas production, get a lot of SCV kills, and actually trying to focus that Nexus down really quickly, and looks like he might be able to do so. Huge amount of damage. Ouch! And now Zukarakox, oof. I felt like he was in a bad position before, but now he is crippled.
Wow, massive damage.
Very nice.
And the storm's coming in, trying to storm those forces. They are going to be able to get those medevacs out of there, but not before the damage is done. Just picking off that Nexus, sniping it. Not a huge loss. There wasn't a ton of minerals left at that base. I think he might even be able to just expand somewhere else and make more use out of an expansion. But yeah, so I think Zukarakox has to basically counterattack right now. This is his chance. His Templar don't have a lot of energy, but if he can get some storms off, a couple of them on that army, he's hurting right now. He's got to do something to get back at RedAlert. He can't just let RedAlert chill at those 2 bases. He needs to do something back to him soon, I think.
That was a really nice feedback on those dropships, too. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but he feedbacked them and then focused them down.
Nice.
Big fight coming up here.
Oof. Wow. Immortal doing a lot of damage, able to take down the bunker. Some good side storms, but wow. RedAlert actually trying to micro his way out of that and eating a lot of these side storms. Very nice, and I still think he's got too many troops, and he should be able to rally and take what's left of these stalkers out. And unfortunately, with the medevacs able to heal that army up, RedAlert should be able to just follow up with an attack. He really doesn't need to, actually. He could just swing around to respond, but RedAlert had loaded up for another drop, and it looks like he's got medevacs headed right out to that natural expansion. The stalkers are just going to watch it happen as that Forge get weapons won, and even with these Marauders, I don't think he has enough to really stop that army.
And we see just an all-in on that Expo, and he takes the Nexus out. Once again, capitalizing on that stim. Karakox finds himself without any Nexi at the moment. And in fact, about to be his main as well, once again, although I think he's actually going to fight this one off this time.
Oof. Yeah, even, maybe not. Oh, it's going to... Okay, he finally is able to take it out. 185 health left, and I assume there's going to be some more dropships coming, and that is a large army moving out from RedAlert's main. Yeah, there's nothing that Zukarakox can do.
Yeah.
I mean, he's barely mining here. He's at 1 base. He's got half the harvester count. He's got a huge army. No Templar walking out. He's got 1 Immortal, but there's plenty of Marines to eat through that. Doesn't look like the Marines are targeting it. Doing some nice micro there against those Zealots. The Zealots, even with charge and able to get forward, just melting that army. So RedAlert's going to take game 2. There's GG. Beautiful play on his part. Some nice mobility. Some nice